It is less than 24 hours until polling day, and we are seeing nothing short of an avalanche in last-minute polls and data. Pollster after pollster is reporting a massive tightening in the polls as the Biden campaign looks set to spectacularly collapse in the last few days. Yesterday, we looked at Trafalgar Group's final data and their prediction that Trump was on course to win the 2020 election, and now we're seeing a new pollster join that ever-growing group. In today's video, we are going to be examining the final data emerging from Rasmussen, and we have very good news indeed for Trump fans. You're watching Political, and we are very excitedly analysing all the data, pumping out as much content as possible for you guys, because this looks set to be an election simply like no other. If you enjoy it, and if you want to keep in touch with us after the election, we have a number of great things planned that we're not quite ready to announce yet, but we will. Please do consider subscribing and joining our ever-growing conservative community. Please do like if you do enjoy the content, and please do share it if you know someone who might find it useful or interesting or even entertaining, maybe. And so on with today's video. Now, what I want you to remember as we're going through this, we've mentioned this several times before, Trump has the electoral college advantage here, because Biden stacks up lots and lots of votes in New York and California, the most popular states. So remember, in order for Biden to get a 50% chance of winning the election, he needs a 3.5% advantage, roughly, more or less. Just remember that. Now I'm going to pass you over. Yayan, hit us with potentially the last time for the 2020 election with your polling analysis.
Yes, indeed. So we've spoken about Rasmussen's polls before. We did a video on Rasmussen, I think, a couple of weeks back, that we got a lot of hate for, actually, in the comments, when they showed... A lot of love, too. Yeah, a lot of love, but a lot of people seemed quite unhappy with what Rasmussen was saying, but they showed, I think it was, Biden ahead by 3, and now this is their last poll before Election Day, with the fieldwork done over the weekend, and they're showing now basically a statistical tie, with Biden edging it among likely voters 48 to 47%. And just breaking it down, the actual data itself, Trump has 81% support among Republicans, and Biden has an 80% support with Democrat votes, and then among independents, Biden has the advantage there as well. They're saying by 3 points. So just looking at this data very quickly, initially what's interesting is a large amount of support for both candidates. This isn't Biden actually having less support than the polls show. The other polls show Biden having similarly high support. What this poll and what Rasmussen polls have consistently showed is that Trump also has that high level of support. And we like Rasmussen. The reason we like Rasmussen is because they got it spot on in 2016. They showed Clinton winning by 2 points. And if you remember the actual data itself, on the final result, after all the votes were counted, she won by 2.1%. So, and as Connor rightly referenced at the beginning, Trump has the electoral college advantage. If it was a tie, he's almost guaranteed to win in terms of the popular vote, because Biden stacks up those votes in the high population states like California and New York, and Trump, wins in more marginal levels in more states. So, based upon Nate Silver's analysis, if this is true and that Biden is only 1 point ahead, or even if it's a tie, he has only a 94% chance of winning the electoral college, which is quite astounding, really. Remember, these guys got it right, spot on in 2016. They could be wrong this time, but, surely this is cause for concern if you're Biden, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, cause for concern for Biden, but if you put a bet on Trump at the start of this election, you're suddenly feeling very happy with yourself, aren't you? Well, what can they do? I mean, this is just everything coming back to bite them in the bottom, isn't it? I mean, the man, he's barely campaigned for the last. They had to call in Obama to do his campaigning for him. If you've seen it the last week, this is a man. He doesn't know how to mobilize people. He doesn't know how to get people turning out on the day. He's lost the minority vote. Donald Trump, or at least he's hemorrhaging support in the minority communities. He's collapsed. I think Joe Biden has collapsed, and he is going to be tanking this election.
So you're predicting then the heavy landslide then for Trump, shall we say, or or at least a Trump win. I think what's interesting is the support that they have on either side. A lot of the polls are showing that Biden has significant amount of support with Democrats, saying that, I mean, I've seen some polls showing like 95% support, whereas Rasmussen are basically showing they've got about an even support with people affiliated to those parties, which obviously, to my eye, seems more right. Anyway, that seems more accurate. But it's interesting because I think the key thing is with other polls, what they're basically projecting are turnouts similar to like 2012 levels. And we've said this before, they're expecting on election day still loads and loads of voters to turn up for Biden, or maybe have already voted anyway in early voting, to turn up for Biden in similar levels that they did for Barack Obama. Lots of minority voters in a big blue wave to put him into the White House. Whereas Rasmussen are kind of predicting, well, yeah, okay, people hate Trump. We don't dispute that, but he has lots of enthusiasm. We're not so sure that there is that much enthusiasm for Biden, so we're not really expecting any kind of like, you know, super record levels of turnout. Of course, there will be more people voting in this election than 2016, simply because there are more people in America, and there will be lots of first-time voters, as there always are. But will they turn out as a percentage at a higher level for the Democrats than they have done before? I don't know. They're not so sure. I'm not so sure either. And to add to that, I feel like Trump may have lost support in some areas, but he's gained support in others. And I think he's going to end up with even more support as well than he had in 2016.
Absolutely. And it's indisputable because he's winning those minority votes. He's winning votes like never before in those key southern states, in these key demographics. In effect, he is, okay, yes, and everyone knows he's hemorrhaging support with some demographics, like white suburban women, but he's just gaining them elsewhere. If you look at where he's been very smart with his campaigning. If you look at his campaigning trail, he knows exactly who he has to win and exactly where to go to win them. It really is a masterclass in data-driven politics, isn't it? And what I think the Democrats have done is they have told themselves, and this is the rhetoric coming from politicians, but I worked in politics, and what sometimes happens is politicians' rhetoric ends up convincing the politicians themselves. So they've said that Donald Trump is an existential threat and everyone's going to turn out to oppose him. Okay. Not everyone, even in the Democratic Party, thinks that. Or rather, if you're a Bernie bro, a Democratic Bernie bro, you might consider Donald Trump an existential threat, but you probably don't think Joe Biden's much better anyway, So when it gets to election day and it's raining and you have to drive an hour to the polling station and you might get COVID if you're doing it, are you really going to go and do it?
Yeah, and I think as well, just as a final point, before we wrap up, that is potentially a catastrophic misplay by the Democratic Party to effectively discourage people from turning up on election day. They've been telling them that it's not safe, they can't do it, they should not try it, that they should only vote by mail. And now the opportunity has gone. The opportunity to vote early in person has gone. If they want to vote now, they're going to have to turn up to a polling station, get in line among thousands and thousands of Trump fans, many of them maybe not wearing masks, and they're going to have to put their vote in the ballot box. And as you say, maybe if it's raining, maybe they might not have that same level of enthusiasm. So it's a massive misplay, I think, on their part. I think the Republicans are going to absolutely overwhelmingly storm the ballot boxes tomorrow, and we're going to see a big turnout. And listen, we did our predictions early today before we saw this poll. Maybe it might have influenced it, I don't know, but I still think, I stand by, I believe Trump will win. But what this shows us, I think, is that he does have that potential to win very, very convincingly if these polls are accurate, if our sentiment, our feeling is accurate. So, I'm honestly incredibly excited. I've never been so excited for an election in my entire life, and I cannot wait for it. So we've got more videos planned, not just today, but tomorrow as well, I should say. And as Connor said, many videos beyond that as well. So if you do enjoy our content, please consider subbing. It really does help us, and give us the video a like. It really helps with the algorithm. If you enjoyed the content, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.